Our planet is a ticking time bomb of violence. What you call a bad storm is barely a microscopic blip on nature's radar. Today, we are ranking every type of natural disaster by the raw energy they unleash, from a simple flash in the sky to a world-ending reset button. Let's start at the bottom. Level 1, a single lightning strike. It hits with around 1 billion joules of energy. To put that in perspective, that's enough raw power to instantly boil the water inside a human body. For a split second, a lightning bolt burns at 50,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. It slices through the atmosphere, superheating the air so violently that it explodes, creating the shock wave we call thunder. If you could capture the energy of just one strike, it could power a typical American home for over a month. But nature doesn't store this energy. It dumps it all in a fraction of a millisecond. It's fast, it's deadly, and it happens around 100 times every single second across the globe. But as terrifying as a bolt from the sky is, it's nothing compared to when the wind itself turns into a localized meat grinder. Level 2, the EF5 tornado. We are jumping from 1 billion to 10 trillion joules of energy. An EF5 is the absolute maximum on the enhanced Fujita scale. These aren't just strong winds, these are spinning blenders of doom stretching over a mile wide. Winds inside an EF5 completely bypass 300 miles per hour. At this speed, a piece of straw can pierce through a solid oak tree. Cars are tossed like Hot Wheels, and well-built houses are simply erased from their foundations, leaving bare concrete behind. The total energy released by an EF5 tornado over its lifespan is roughly equivalent to the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima. But instead of a single blinding flash, that nuclear-level energy is focused entirely on violently shredding a narrow path across the Earth. It's a localized nightmare. But what happens when you take that localized destruction and scale it up to the size of an entire continent? You get a monster that can swallow states whole. Level 3, the Category 5 hurricane. Now we're moving from localized destruction to continent-sized monsters. A Category 5 storm spans hundreds of miles across, turning the ocean itself into a weapon of mass destruction. In a single day, a hurricane of this magnitude releases roughly 10 to the 17th power joules of energy. To put that into perspective, if you could somehow harness the energy generated by a single hurricane in just 24 hours, you could power every electrical grid on the entire planet for more than half a year. The sheer scale of this power is almost incomprehensible. Most of this energy is released as heat from condensing water vapor, forming billions of tons of rain. This thermal engine drives continuous winds well over 157 miles per hour. It pushes massive, unstoppable walls of ocean water onto the land, known as storm surges, sweeping away everything in their path. While an EF5 tornado violently shreds a specific town, a Category 5 hurricane slowly drowns entire coastlines. It reshapes geography and erases coastal infrastructure with a relentless, grinding force that lasts for days. It's a slow-moving apocalypse, fueled entirely by the heat of our oceans. But as devastating as these atmospheric titans are, they only scratch the surface of the Earth. What happens when the very bedrock beneath your feet violently snaps? Level 4, the Megathrust earthquake. Now we're leaving the atmosphere and diving deep underground. When massive tectonic plates get stuck, friction builds up over centuries, storing an unthinkable amount of kinetic energy. When that rock finally breaks, it triggers a megathrust earthquake, releasing upwards of 10 to the 18th power joules. That is the equivalent of detonating tens of thousands of Hiroshima bombs simultaneously, deep within the Earth's crust. A magnitude 9.0 earthquake doesn't just shake buildings, it literally rips the ground apart and permanently alters the landscape. The 2004 Indian Ocean earthquake was so powerful, it physically moved entire islands by several meters. Even crazier, the 2011 Tohoku earthquake in Japan unleashed so much energy that it shifted the Earth's axis of rotation by nearly 6.5 inches, actually making our days slightly shorter. The shock waves travel through the planet like ripples in a pond, ringing the Earth like a massive bell. And if the rupture happens underwater, it displaces billions of tons of seawater, spawning colossal tsunamis that can obliterate coastal cities thousands of miles away. It's a terrifying reminder that the ground we build our lives on is just a thin, fragile crust floating on a volatile mantle. But even a cracked crust is nothing compared to what happens when the molten hell beneath it decides to burst through the surface. Level 5, the Supervolcano eruption. We have reached the realm of extinction-level threats. A supervolcano doesn't just build a mountain, it blows a hole in the Earth's crust so large it can swallow an entire major city. The magma chamber beneath Yellowstone is basically an underground ocean of liquid rock, pressurized to its absolute limit. For hundreds of thousands of years, pressure builds beneath the surface until the bedrock can no longer hold it back. When a monster like Yellowstone finally erupts, it releases around 10 to the 20th power joules of energy. That's like detonating 2 million Hiroshima bombs over a span of a few days. But the initial explosion isn't what kills you, it's what comes next. The eruption ejects thousands of cubic miles of ash and toxic gas straight into the stratosphere. This isn't like burning wood. Volcanic ash is made of jagged shards of glass and pulverized rock that shred your lungs if you breathe it in. This massive dark cloud wraps around the globe, physically blotting out the sun. Global temperatures plummet, plunging the planet into a devastating volcanic winter that can last for a decade. Crops fail instantly, food chains collapse entirely. A supervolcano doesn't just destroy a continent, it slowly starves the entire world. Yet, as devastating as this sounds, it's still just a threat born from our own planet. What happens when the universe decides to throw a rock at us at 45,000 miles per hour? Level 6, the extinction-level asteroid impact. This is the ultimate reset button. 66 million years ago, a rock the size of Mount Everest slammed into the Gulf of Mexico. It hit the Earth traveling at 45,000 miles per hour. The kinetic energy released in that single fraction of a second was an incomprehensible 10 to the 24th power joules. That's 100 million megatons of TNT. Imagine detonating every single nuclear weapon on Earth at the exact same time in the exact same spot. Now, multiply that by 10,000. The impact instantly punched a crater 10 miles deep and over 90 miles wide into the Earth's crust. Earthquakes magnitude 11 or higher rippled across the globe, tearing the ground apart. The ocean didn't just boil, it was instantly vaporized into a towering pillar of superheated steam. A blinding flash of thermal radiation ignited forests thousands of miles away in an instant. Tsunamis a mile high radiated outward, scouring the continents. Meanwhile, a shockwave of shattered bedrock was blasted straight into space, only to rain back down as scorching hot molten glass. The sky turned to fire, and then it went completely black. This single violent collision wiped out 75% of all life on Earth, ending the reign of the dinosaurs in a single afternoon. It's the most destructive natural disaster our planet has ever endured. From a single lightning bolt to an asteroid that resets the clock, Earth is a terrifying and beautiful machine. We spend our lives worrying about our daily problems, completely forgetting that we live on a fragile rock spinning through a violent universe. Nature possesses a level of power that we can barely comprehend, let alone control. We are just passengers here, and the universe is the one driving. Which of these disasters terrifies you the most? Let me know down in the comments. If you want to keep exploring the insane scale of our universe, hit that subscribe button. Stay curious and stay safe.